Welcome back to another episode of the Bull in the Cup podcast. I'm your host, David.
And I'm the co-host, also David, David's dad. All right, welcome everybody. So, gosh, the market really is in the news lately, David, with, that we're now reaching a bear market with, the market being, down quite a bit, almost 20%. It kind of rallied a little bit into last week, but down 20% overall. Since its high earlier this year. So it's begging the question, because people are kind of ready to invest more in the market if they can get some certainty and feel like it's going to go back up. But we want to get in at the bottom, right? If it's going to keep going down low, we don't want to buy a bunch of stuff yet. But if it's if it's at the bottom, we want to buy. So what do you think, David? When are we at the bottom? Is it going to down a little more? When can we know we're at the bottom?
The thing is, this is actually really hard to figure out how long it takes to reach bottom. Also, specific companies aren't at bottom. Specific companies could do well because of this. In general, a lot of companies in the market are going down, but different companies are going to go back up and stuff at different periods of time because of different reasons.
Oh, that's a good point. So what's an example of why? It's more company specific than the market as a whole, you're saying, and we got to pay attention to certain companies. What's a reason why certain companies may bounce back?
Well, the reason certain companies bounce back is, one, tariffs is a big reason they went down in the first place, and our country's tariffing other countries. If they get rid of the tariff on a country, that one country is going to do really is their stocks, the stocks that are imported from that country, and the stocks that have products imported from that country are going to go back up. But other countries that still have the tariffs are probably going to still go back down. Still keep going down. That's
a really good point. So then we're going to be looking at really a country by country analysis, and then looking at what companies make products in that country. I think Vietnam's a really good example of this. Vietnam. And Nike makes a lot of products now in Vietnam, and Apple does as well. And so Vietnam, U.S. is Vietnam's best customer. And this all started from the first Trump administration 8 years ago, when Trump imposed a massive tariff on China. And so when Trump imposed this massive tariff on China, then companies shifted over to Vietnam for their manufacturing locations, and we became a huge importer of goods from Vietnam, and they loved us. They're doing very well because of what we're importing and buying from Vietnam. But now, all of a sudden, last week, Trump puts a 46% tariff on Vietnam. It's huge, and that sends the country into a panic, and so they're in negotiations to try to resolve that. But you can even see in the market, it's fascinating, when Trump announces that tariff, Nike stock last week drops immediately, tremendous drop, drops $10 a share in the course of one day. And then as 2 days pass and we see that there's possibility that the tariff could be lifted, you start to see the stock rebound. And so I think you're spot on that we're going to see these reactions, not across the entire market, but with specific companies and we're following the news, and we need to pay attention. Which country is Trump negotiating and close to reaching a deal with to have to get rid of a tariff, or to reduce it at least? And that's the stocks, kind of coming from companies that manufacture in those countries will bounce back. It's an excellent point.
The other issue is, a lot of these things people are trying to predict. It's not very easy to predict this kind of thing because we don't have the exact information, and the information can change very quickly. Because what they're trying to do is people are trying to buy when it's low, but not when it's going to continue going down. Trying to buy when it's finished going down, which is really hard to figure out because of all the things we just been explaining.
Right. No, that's an excellent point. So really, this is the time to do your homework. I mean, it's the time where if you want to try to make money in the market, you've got to do your homework with the tariffs and find out what countries are getting tariffs and what is going on in terms of the negotiation. Is there a trade war going on such that another country is throwing a massive tariff back at us and things are just spiraling? And if we don't want to be investing in companies that are in the midst of a trade war with the U.S., because obviously that sounds like something that's not going to get resolved anytime soon. But at the same time, if there's positive talks, then we go, okay, well, maybe that tariff is going to be gone, and whatever companies were hit hard from that initial tariff may be rebounding well, and you want to get in early. So this is the time to do some homework and go online and start following the news on what's going on. That was it for me this week. You want to start playing our game?
Yeah, I think this is a good time. Let's recap from last week.
Well, I know you're anxious to recap from last week because, my Tesla stock took a hit. I thought it was a good time to buy at 251. It's down at 238 today. We're recording a day late on a Monday night here. So I got crushed. You did quite well with your GameStop. How did that go?
It was actually very funny. I'm scrolling through this list of a bunch of different stocks. All of them last week down like 10%, down this much, down this much. GameStop up, I forgot how much it was. It was like how much, I think?
You were 21 to 24, so up $3, so up over 10%.
Over 10%. Well, all these other things are just like tanking.
Yes, everything's tanking. We're getting great comments from our listeners. BG Origin was talking about buying NVIDIA, and that went down as well, like everything else in the market. But you found one of the few stocks that did well in GameStop. Seems to be not affected by the tariff. So if you're going to be investing in something now, besides doing your homework like we talked about earlier about finding a country that's about to get its tariff resolved, find a company that's not impacted by the tariffs like your GameStop, David. That was a good pick.
Also, GameStop, like I was saying before, it's more of a safety stock. The only issues is if some places in some company they got tariffs, like if Nintendo had a lot of tariffs, then they would make stuff cost more money, which would affect GameStop a lot. But also, it's the stock market. So we know with the stock market for GameStop, just one person can hold the stock there for forever, right, and keep it alive.
Yeah, I know. Hold on strong, Roaring Kitty. So what about this week? What are you picking this week?
This week I'm gonna let you go first.
You're gonna me go first? Okay. Well, I'm gonna double down on my Vietnam story earlier, and I'm gonna go with Nike this week because I feel like Vietnam wants to get a deal done bad, and so that's where I'm going with it. If you want to join me, maybe you'll pick Apple, but Nike, I'm gonna go with Nike. It's certainly some concern there because it's still a stock that can take a hit if the overall market keeps going down and we go into a recession. But I just think that it'll get a boost at least for this week with Vietnam trying to get a deal done. I know they've offered to have no tariff on U.S. goods if we'll drop the tariff on their goods. That didn't seem to be good enough, so now they're offering to buy more American defense products. And so we'll see if that sweetens the pot enough for the president to get rid of the tariff. And if it does, then it's a good boom. But that's my thought going with Nike. What do you think, buddy?
I'm going to go with Callaway again. And at Callaway, I actually completely forgot where they get their stuff from, where it gets imported, if it's in the U.S., whatever. But Callaway's been going down a lot with the entire market. And in general, I feel like Callaway's doing well. It's a good company and everything, so I feel like it should make a rebound. I don't know how long that's going to take. Maybe not enough for the week's thing, but I'm going to go with Callaway.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I looked it up right now as you asked it. A lot of club assemblies taking place in some in the United States and some in Mexico and some in China. So we'll see if we can get a deal done with our neighbors to the south. That'll hopefully give it a boost. But anyways, hopefully everybody does their homework. Do your homework on the tariffs and the countries that may not be impacted if we can get a deal done. And throw your comments in the chat. Keep them coming as to what stock you pick, and we'll give you a shout out next week. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.